Hello, my name is Tim, my company is Sports and Touring, and we are Jaguar F-Type specialists. We are constantly searching for really exquisite F-Types. For us, a car has to be in brilliant technical condition with great service history. It needs to be spot on aesthetically, and ideally it should be in an attractive colour palette and with a range of the options which many buyers look for. You'll understand then how exciting it is to find a car like this one. It's a V8S, so rear-wheel drive, 5-litre, supercharged, brilliant, classic Jaguar sports car handling, and yet a great cruising car as well. It's in a fabulous colour palette of Polaris White with black and carbon fibre accents, and it's sitting on gorgeous 20-inch Cyclone wheels which have been freshly factory refurbished in anthracite to go with the carbon fibre. It is in brilliant order throughout, and it has travelled an astonishingly low mileage. Let's take a look around. When Jaguar set out to build a sports car to follow on from the Grand Tourer XK and XKR series, they didn't have to call it the F-Type. They could have given it a different name, and if they'd done so, life would have been much easier. Because to build a car which stands in line with the C-Type, D-Type and E-Type was no light undertaking. To build an F-Type, it had to be right, or it would have been enormously damaging for the Jaguar brand. And that is why so much effort went into every aspect of this car. They started, of course, by designing the convertible. They worked on the coupe after that. And I think that shows because as you examine the lines of this car, they speak of aerodynamics and speed and power, but they do so in such a very beautiful way. The form of the car and the detail work brilliantly together. I love the way that the rear splitter works there with the quad tailpipes on this V8S, the way that the lights work with the body around them, and the way that the power vents on the side and bonnet vents sing together along with the headlamps and the gills at the front. It is a very clever concoction of design ideas which comes together to produce this beautiful car. And then we look at this particular one in Polaris White with the carbon fibre accents here of the power vents and mirror covers and bonnet vents, and they work brilliantly with these gorgeous 20-inch Cyclone wheels, freshly factory refurbished in anthracite, which echoes beautifully the carbon fibre beside it. The condition of the car, of course, is exceptional. It's a very low mileage example, and you'd expect it to be good. But as we look around the car at the areas where you might expect to see some signs of age or mileage, there simply aren't any. This vehicle has been exquisitely cared for. It's been cleaned and washed and valeted and detailed correctly. There are no nasty swirl marks in the paintwork. Inside and outside, it is truly exceptional. And on that note, let's take a look at things from the driver's perspective. The car will be supplied, of course, with 2 remote key fobs and the owner's book pack, but one of the extra cost options is keyless entry, so just walk up to the car and tap the button. The door unlocks, the power fold mirror moves into position, and the puddle light as well illuminates there to help you get in the dark. Opening the door, and there is this beautiful cockpit. We'll start perhaps with the door card, which you can see is in perfect order, unblemished, exactly as it should be. Panning round, and the scuff plate there is extremely good. This beautiful performance seat in jet leather with jet stitching is just as it should be. You might expect to see some wear on the side bolster there or on the side of the seat base, but not in this particular car. And the carpet and mat are very fine as well. Sitting down into the car, and we can see the mileage there, just over 13,000 miles, extraordinarily low for this beautiful F-Type. Looking around in more detail, we've got between the seats there this handy stowage, which locks, of course, when the car is locked with the roof down. Forward of that, the armrest has underneath it the CD player, 12-volt socket, USB socket, and an auxiliary input for the audio system. Then we've got the two cup holders with a recess in the middle as well to take those small drink cans. And to explore further, we'll actually fire up the supercharged V8 using the Ignis start-stop button there, so the bronze-coloured start-stop button along with the Ignis paddles, another extra cost option. And as we fire up, we'll see the instrument binnacle do its little self-test flying display, and the centre air vent will rise up into position. It's a lovely exhaust note. Deep and satisfying. And we come back to the centre console then. There's the switch for the convertible roof. We'll come back to that in a moment and see how that works. Then we've got the Eco Stop Start Defeat button, the button for the spoiler, which we can raise and lower there. It comes up and down, of course, at set speeds when you're driving, but important to have that button at least so that you can clean underneath it when you wash the car. There we've got the traction control off button and the switched active sports exhaust. So that's the two valves in the exhaust system that open to give you a throatier exhaust note when you're driving. Here we've got the electronic parking brake, of course, with hill start assist. And forward of that, the driving mode selector. So at the moment we're in standard or vanilla mode. Forward puts us into rain, ice and snow mode, and that calms the car down considerably for driving in slippery, icy, wintry conditions. Very useful mode in those circumstances. And then we can go back from rain, ice and snow mode into standard mode, and from there backwards into dynamic driving mode, which you can see there on the instrument binnacle. The dynamic driving mode confirmed, and the binnacle lighting, backlighting turns red as well. And that means that the car is now configured for a sportier driving style. And in fact, we have dynamic eye in this car as well. So if I go to the infotainment system, an extra features option, that takes me to dynamic eye here. I know it's sometimes difficult to see on the screen because it's a little bright, but we have my setup and factory setup, and using factory setup, we have dynamic gear shift, suspension, steering and engine. And so those maps are adjusted for a sportier driving style, a more dramatic and dynamic driving style. Coming back down to the centre console then, we've got the shift stick itself, which falls beautifully to hand. P button on the top to select park, a trigger on the front so that we can enable the shift stick and go into drive. And then from drive we go sideways across into sports shifting mode, and in that mode we can shift up and down using the shift stick itself. I would prefer actually to use the flappy paddles on the steering wheel because they mean that I'm holding the steering wheel and in complete control of the car while I'm driving it. Okay, back down to the center console, and we can go back into park there and take a look at the climate controls. So we've got the two temperature selectors, dual zone climate, so passenger and driver select their own desired temperatures. And this car also has the 3-stage electrically heated seats dialed in by pressing the button and then selecting the setting you desire. We've got also another extra cost option, the electrically heated front windscreen there. Moving on to the infotainment itself, and the home screen there has a number of options down the side, and then the main section we've got audio and video. At the moment we've got DAB radio tuned in, but we can see we've also got FM and AM radio, and under the My Music option in a moment we will see that we can select a number of different sources: DVD and CD, iPod, Bluetooth from the phone, stored CDs, so when you play a CD in this car you can also download it into the car's music library. We've got USB and aux inputs as well. Sorry that's a little bright on the video, just a consequence of how we shoot this and how bright the screen is. I apologise. Back to the home screen, and we've got the navigation function, of course, very good satellite navigation in the F-Type. easy to use, easy to interpret, and easy to program with your destination and follow the instructions and so forth. Back to the home screen again, we've got Bluetooth telephony, of course, and then we can select the climate option there, where we can direct the airflow around the car as we wish to have it, and synchronize the two temperatures there as well. Mode and audio video again help us with those audio video sources. Phone takes us to Bluetooth telephony, and nav takes us to satellite navigation again. All very well thought out and easy to use. Over on the steering wheel, on the left-hand thumb pad, we've got the infotainment controls and Bluetooth telephony button. On the right-hand thumb pad, we've got the cruise control and active speed limiter. And then on the left-hand stalk there, we've got the automatic headlamps, and the right-hand stalk has the rain-sensitive wipers. And to round off, looking down there by my right knee, we've got the buttons for the boot release and the rear fog light, and also for the dimmer for the instrument binnacle itself. And then looking right down into the bottom of the car there, you can see that we have the bright stainless steel pedal pack, another extra cost option on this F-Type. And again, it's all in fabulously good condition. The steering wheel is unblemished, there are no marks on it. Likewise, the rest of the cockpit is in fabulously good order, and testament to previous drivers who've really looked after this F-Type extraordinarily well. Okay, next let's take a look at the convertible roof. And I'm going to swing the camera around so that we can do that and take a look at how it operates. Now, convertible roofs can be problematic. They can be overcomplicated, they can be too slow to operate. That's a frequent problem with them. But the F-Type roof actually, I think, is a very fine piece of design. It's known for being very reliable as well. It's a single switch to operate, so we can begin closing the roof by activating the switch there. The windows wind themselves down, and the roof folds itself out of its stowage over the car, latches in position in the top of the windscreen, and then finally the windows close again, and we're ready for that rain shower that we've spotted ahead of us. Conversely, we're through the rain shower, the sun is out again, and we just press the button down, the windows wind down, the roof stows itself into its cubbyhole behind the cockpit, and the windows close, and the whole sequence is over very, very swiftly. It's simple, it's reliable, and it's quick to operate, so it ticks all the boxes really for me when it comes to convertible roofs. Okay, we'll switch the engine off and take a look in the boot. Some reviewers have been quite unkind about the F-Type convertible boot. And yes, it isn't a particularly large space. However, if you look how wide it is, the fact it extends either side there, and it extends quite a long way forward, in fact, under the area where the convertible roof itself is stowed, and we've got this useful cubby hole at the bottom, and you realise that as long as you pack soft-sided bags and you don't try to put hard-sided suitcases in, it is a large enough volume for at least a week away touring on the road, if not a bit longer, if you don't mind restricting the number of changes of clothes that you take, I guess. And there are people who've done extensive touring in F-Types. I would say follow those packing guidelines, and it's a very usable space indeed. And again, you can see that the boot in this car is correct and clean as it should be. The tyre inflation kit is there. There are no nasty odours, no stains, nothing at all to remark on negatively in this boot. Okay, we'll close the boot lid and come round to look at the passenger side of the car. We've got two-stage unlocking enabled. That's a security feature, of course, which you can enable and disable through the car's settings. And so I have to tap the button there. That brings the door handle out, and we can look at the passenger door card, which again is exactly as it should be. The scuff plate there is perfect, and likewise the dashboard, carpet and mat, centre console, and this beautiful performance seat in jet leather are all exactly as they should be. And next, we'll take a look under the bonnet. under the bonnet, and there is the engine cover with the supercharged logo, reminding us that this is a Jaguar engine. 5 litres, V8 configuration, producing very nearly 500 horsepower and driving this car from 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds through that fabulous 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox and on to a top speed of 186 miles per hour. But as I always say, this is not a car about numbers. This is a car about emotions and feelings and how it is to sit in that driver's seat with your hands and feet on the controls and experience the connection that the F-Type makes between you and the car and the road and your journey, and the heady pleasure that you get from driving an F-Type, whether you're wafting down the road on a routine journey or whether you're pushing it hard on one of those beautiful mountain roads in the north of Italy. It is just the most wonderful thing to be in control of one of these amazing cars. Again, you can see under the bonnet here, everything crisp and clean, just as it should be. Very good service history, and our excellent friends at Marshall Jaguar in Newbury will be servicing this car ready for its new keeper. So thank you very much indeed for watching. It's been a huge pleasure to show you this beautiful F-Type. We're Sports and Touring. We're just outside Andover in Hampshire, open 7 days a week by appointment only. You're very welcome to telephone, email or WhatsApp us with any questions, or if you'd like to see this car in person or by video call. If you've got a car to dispose of on your buying journey, we will give you frank and honest advice about the best way to achieve the maximum value with the minimum inconvenience. And if you'd like to chat about finance, we can do that as well. We're authorised and regulated by the FCA, and we work with a really brilliant broker. Do please take a few moments to read our reviews in Auto Trader. I'm very proud indeed of the things that our previous customers say about us. And I'll close by saying thank you again. Do feel free to like and subscribe to us here on YouTube. And we look forward to hearing from you very soon. Contact details coming in just a moment.